Russia's making some big moves heading into the new year with its relationship with China. We know that the two are getting closer and closer and strengthening the relationship between them, but Russia's sovereign wealth fund just made a move to strengthen this even more. Their finance ministry just doubled the amount of yuan and gold that it can hold in the National Wealth Fund. Prior to this move, the maximum amount of the Chinese currency that Russia could hold in this fund was 30% of the fund's worth. Now that is doubled to 60%. This follows a long line of increasing the amount that Russia reserves holds in yuan over the last decade. Now, this isn't exactly surprising considering what happened to its foreign exchange reserves in other currencies. Over the last year, any of its assets that were denominated in dollars, euros, pounds, and yen were frozen. If you one day woke up and you logged into your bank account and you saw a message there saying you can no longer access any of the money in your bank account, your assets have been frozen because the government that controls this money doesn't like the actions that you're taking. Now here I'm not making any statement about the actions that you've actually taken. Who knows, maybe you actually did something very bad. But the result would be the same. Your incentive to find another way to make and receive payments would be huge following that event. You'd be much more likely to try and use something like Bitcoin, try and use something like physical gold following that because you just can't trust that that money is going to be yours to use anymore. And that's exactly what Russia is doing right now, as they've also increased their gold amount to 40%. This increase to 40% for gold was also an increase from the prior limit of 20%. And as a result of these limits going up, that means other limits have to go down. And that's exactly what happened to the British pound and the Japanese yen, which have been reduced to zero. This is not exactly surprising given the performance of the yen over the last decade, meaning that both from a purchasing power perspective and from the security perspective of being able to use it when and if you need it, it just is not an attractive option anymore. Now, this marks a shift in how other countries are treating the yuan. And I know that Russia is not every country, and it's not even close to the majority of other countries, but it does mark a shift in viewing the yuan as an international reserve currency. The finance minister in Russia said, from among the currencies of friendly countries, the yuan has the characteristics of a reserve currency to the greatest extent, as well as sufficient liquidity in our domestic foreign exchange market. Now, obviously, this doesn't mean that China is going to control the global reserve currency anytime soon, that the rest of the world is going to dump the dollar and use the yuan instead. But it is a signpost. It is something to watch because this is not something that would have been said a year and a half ago, even a year ago, by anybody. And while the yuan is not in a place to be a global reserve currency for many nations beyond Russia, this is a sign that they could be headed that direction. I've said it before and I'll say it again. If a government can remove the use of a currency from another country, they can remove the use of the currency from you, one of their citizens. And if you don't have a way to transact or to keep some of your wealth outside the official financial system before you need to, you won't be able to if the day ever comes where you do need it. And finally, I will be speaking in Scottsdale, Arizona from January 27th through 29th at Jason Hartman's Empowered Investor Live Conference, alongside Jason himself and many others. It's going to be a great event. I would love to see you there. If you can join me, get your tickets with the link in the description below. As always, really appreciate you guys. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day.